Hello, everybody. It's 12 o'clock. Welcome once again to one of our community Zoom series here at Montefiore Nyack Hospital. We're delighted to have you. We have three amazing panelists today, and I'm going to be introducing our topic very shortly. We're just going to give it another minute or two to more people to join because we have a lot of registrants, and I see that not everybody's here yet. So we're just going to wait for another 1 or 2 minutes, and we're going to be ready to start. Well, hi everybody again. So thank you for joining us today. We have a lot of attendees already with us. We have 15 people listening to us right now, girls, so that you know. So let me introduce myself. My name is Sandra Arevalo, and I'm the Director of Patient and Nutrition, Patient and Community Education. Today is the nutrition topic, so I'm all about nutrition. So patient and community education here at Montefiore Nyack Hospital. Delighted and honored to have three amazing panelists who also are my colleagues. I have to say, I'm so happy we're doing something with nutrition today. So their names are Jessica Shapiro, Melissa Kinney, and Merced Vega. And we're gonna start with something very nice. So I'm just gonna ask each one of you, how did you become a registered dietitian? You're all registered dietitians, and they all work here at Montefiore, either in the Bronx, South Bronx, here in Nyack. We have a huge team of dietitians all ready to work and help the public. So tell us a little bit more about what you do, girls. Jessica, do you want to start?
Sure. You want to know about my current position?
Sure.
Okay. So thank you, Sandra, for inviting me to join you. And I am currently, I guess my official title is To Your Health Associate Wellness Nutrition Manager, and I'm a registered dietitian and diabetes educator. And what I've been at Montefiore, but the main site of Montefiore, not Montefiore Nyack, for almost 12 years, and started out as a clinical dietitian, and I've been in associate wellness for probably about almost 10 years now. And I work with the people that work for the hospital. So helping with diet related questions, anything that you would deal with in any outpatient setting, but also we do a lot of programming for associates in different areas of wellness and well-being.
Very good, thank you. Melissa, tell us about you.
Hi, thank you as well for having me today. I'm Melissa Kinney. I'm a clinical dietitian at Montefiore Nyack Hospital. I've been a dietitian for about 6 years now, and I'm also a certified diabetes care and education specialist. I've always known that, or CDE, we still know CDE, certified diabetes educator. So I've always known that I wanted to be a dietitian. I just really, really love talking about food and how to help make people's lives healthier and happier. Yeah.
Thank you. Merced.
Hi, thank you for having me as well. So I'm Merced. I'm one of the registered dietitians at the Bronx Health Collective. This is 3 clinics located in the South Bronx. And my work started when I was working in community nutrition, a lot of community nutrition. A lot of it was based in the South Bronx. I was working with so many Hispanic families, and it just really I just wanted to help my community so much. So that's what led me to the job that I have now. I've been working as a registered dietitian for almost a year now. And I started with the Bronx Health Collective this past year, the beginning. So it's been very different going from programming where we used to do a lot of education in person to now changing everything to telehealth. So it's been such a great experience. And we're just learning along as well.
Yes. And now that you're mentioning telehealth and all of that, you know, like we're facing raising numbers of COVID infections again. Obviously, we are in high target areas in the Bronx, in Rockland. And, you know, the holidays are around the corner, starting with Halloween. And I don't know you, but I love candy and especially chocolate. And, you know, if you have kids, somebody over there, if you have kids, they love candy too. Our families love candy. We want to be together. We want to have a healthy experience. We want to feel safe at the same time. Not only COVID, obesity is an issue. Diabetes is an issue. Hyperglycemia, pre-diabetes, so many things that are related to what we eat. And it's very important that we know how to do it safely and healthy, in a healthy way. So that's why we have these amazing 3 dietitians here, because they're going to give us tips today on what we need to do. So first of all, why do we need to be careful on the amount of candy that we eat? You know, if it were up to me, I will eat all the chocolate in the world. However, all the time is like a big no-no. So why a no-no? Who wants to explain that? Jessica?
Sure. Thanks, Sandra. I agree. I do enjoy candy, but I think what's most important is to not think about Halloween as an isolated event of the only time you can have candy, and to take off that stigma. And because in the scheme of things, I mean, one day isn't really going to matter, but if we put it on a pedestal, then then people tend to overdo it. And I find that Halloween is the kickoff to holiday season, and or the season of eating. And so I know that when people get a lot of candy over Halloween, it's the one day doesn't matter, but it's the leftovers that just perpetuate this candy eating. So I think that is very important for people to understand. And, you know, I will let Melissa and Merced talk a little bit more about why to be careful, but I know when I overdo it, I feel sick. So I think if that's not something that tells me, like my own body is telling me, that I shouldn't overdo it.
Yeah, I think you explained it well, that it's not an isolated event, and it's more about the candy eating over time and celebrating all of these holidays. And you touched on it a little bit already, Sandra, about how if eating excess candy can lead to weight gain, which can lead to the development of insulin resistance and prediabetes and diabetes, heart disease, high blood pressure. And in the short term, if you have something such as diabetes, it's important to watch how much candy you're eating in one single sitting.
Merced, would you like to add something?
Absolutely. Yeah, you know, just reiterating what you both have said already, that it's not an isolated event. Like it happens one day, but it's definitely important to keep track of what's happening the rest of the year. You know, candy, I like candy too. I'll have candy once in a while, right? Just like Sandra. And, you know, we'll enjoy it as part of a healthy diet. Like we'll know that we're eating balanced meals throughout the year and having these times when they're treats, and it's okay to have them as well. But like Melissa mentioned before, you know, we're keeping track of not adding so many of these empty calories, the ones that are providing a lot of sugar, maybe even fat, depending on what the treat is, but they're not providing other essential nutrients that we might need, essential vitamins, minerals, and fiber as well.
Okay. So are there any substitutions that we can make for candy? Let's say, you know, if I don't want to give my kids candy, or I don't want to eat candy myself, but, you know, I think that the beauty of candy and chocolate is the sweetness. So are there any substitutions that we can make to lower our intake of candy for something else? Melissa?
Yeah, so I think fruit leather is a great choice, or making for Halloween, there's so many recipes out there that you can do, like peel a mandarin or a clementine and put a little celery stalk in it and make it look like a pumpkin. So those would be some choices.
Can you pause there, Melissa? I have that example right over here.
Oh, there we go.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
Here's my little clementine, and then here is my little stalk that I'm gonna put in there. And I don't know if the lighting is not great, but there it is.
And now it looks like a little pumpkin or
It's a little
something.
pumpkin, yeah. I'm sorry to interrupt. I just had to show it right now.
That's great. I also like you can make a little mouth with apple slices and peanut butter and do like almond slivers or sunflower seeds to make little teeth. You can make little googly eyes. Make it fun, especially for kids.
And I love that there's a lot of Halloween packaging. So, you know, you see like Pirate's Booty, and I know these are more the savory, I mean, the salty snacks, but like the Pirate's Booty popcorn, the pretzels, which aren't full of sugar, but I mean, they still are carbohydrates, and they have their own things with that, issues with them. But I bought a bunch of Halloween stickers, and I've been sticking them on everything on my kids' lunches. Like, so they open up and they have like a ton of like Halloween decorations coming out of their lunchbox. So it gets them a little excited, even though it's not specifically candy right there.
Okay, but now that you're on that topic, you know, I was gonna save it for towards the end of the webinar, but I think that it's appropriate to show this now. I was just on Google, and this is something that I do absolutely every year, to just Google pictures of things, and you can find the most marvelous ideas here. So if you don't mind sharing my screen, and this is something that everybody can do, really, because it's available on Google. Like, look at how many beautiful things there are. It's like platters of things. This, I think it looks beautiful. Strawberries, bananas. So it's all fruit, it's sweets. Now, let me go back here.
Sandra, I saw, it was so adorable. They dipped strawberries in white chocolate and made them little ghosts.
Let me see. You know, I love these, and this is similar to what Merced was showing, but the bananas, they kill me. They're like the sweetest thing.
Bananas. I love
Bananas, and they're so easy to make, just with some chocolate chips and half banana. Like, who cannot do that, right?
That's the best.
Look at this. It's cute too, with like cheese string. Or here, you guys are seeing my screen, right? Like, I'm not going down here talking to myself. Okay. And I think I saw the teeth that you were talking about. Oh, look at the strawberries. Look, that's cute too.
Those are fun activities to do with the kids too. To
Yes.
these and eat them, of course.
And look at these ones. It has kind of the stickers that you were talking about, Jessica. You know, just put stickers on things. But I want to find the mouths that you were talking. Look, right here. So they do it with like the mini marshmallows, peanut butter, and apples. So it's really easy to make. It's like so not all is about candy, right? Like, we can do, and these are fruit cups. How nice. Fruit cups. So I think that there are many different things, and you can get a lot of ideas. Oh, look how cute. See this?
I love that.
It's very funny, yes. So it's very cute. And I think that definitely there are many ideas, and I wanted to just share that. But if you just go into Google, it's fine. It's easy, it's available, and you just have to be a little creative.
Yeah,
Okay,
and it's so many opportunities. Oh, I'm sorry. I was just going to say, it's just a great opportunity for kids to have fun during Halloween, just playing with their food, you know, and then just having fun. Another little thing they can do.
Like a different way of celebrating Halloween. Melissa?
I was just going to say adults too. Kids, but adults too.
I have fun.
Yes. So, but let's go back to the topic of sugar. Like, are there different types of sugar? Is there some types that are healthier than others?
Well,
Melissa?
Go ahead.
So we already touched on it a little, but more natural sugars, like the sugars found in fruits that are kind of packaged in with fiber and other vitamins would be a healthier choice.
Jessica, what about sugar substitutes? You know, like now in the market, we see Splenda and Equal and Sweet and Low and what's the other one? The green one.
Stevia.
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 Right. It's like so many of them now. A lot of people say, oh, but that's bad for you, and some are supposed to be natural. Can you talk to us a little bit about like the different types that we can find in the market and how some can be healthier or not so much healthier?
Yeah, definitely. Well, I mean, just the sugar comes in so many different forms, natural, and the sugar substitutes, and there's just over 60 names just for the term sugar. Like you look at the food label and you see things that you don't even know what they are, but the last three letters are OSE. It usually means that it's some sort of sugar. But in terms of sugar, sweet substitutes, I should say, it's a food additive that provides a very sweet taste, and it actually tastes way more sweet than sugar. And it contributes a significantly less amount of energy. So there's either very, very small amount or no calories at all. And they can be derived from various methods, manufacturing of plant extracts, or also they can be processed by chemical synthesis. So there's some of it is very, very processed. But some of the newer substitutes are from plants, such as you mentioned, stevia. And, you know, I get a lot of times questions asking me about sugar sweeteners and, substitutes. And I find it to be a very personal decision if they want to eat it or not. The studies that lead to FDA approval, because all of these have been approved by the FDA, they've ruled out any kind of cancer risk for the most part. But I mean, we don't really have really long-term studies to know if that's really gonna, and it depends on how much people eat as well. And the studies were largely based on lab rats, unfortunately. But, so I go with it with caution. And when somebody asks me if they should have if they should drink something with sugar sweet substitute, or if they should use it, I encourage them to try to get as many natural sources of sugar. So as Melissa mentioned, the sugar that comes from natural products like fruits, or lactose is actually natural sugar as well that comes from our milk products or dairy products. But if someone has diabetes, sometimes it's more important that they don't get that sugar. So there are sugar substitutes can be okay in small quantities, but overall, I encourage people to try to go with the real sugar and just have smaller amounts. And that's my personal opinion. But I also let people know it is safe to eat. But I also feel like there's a lot of new data and information coming out about how sugar substitutes affect our gut microbiome and many other aspects of eating and hunger. So, which we just don't know enough about.
Mm-hmm. Now, I also know that there are people who are somewhat intolerant or allergic, to some of these sugars. So what will be our recommendation for these people? Merced, what do you tell patients about this?
Yeah, so Jessica also started mentioning a little bit about some of the ones that cause some gastrointestinal discomfort, right? So a lot of the times those are the sugar alcohols. They're usually used in a lot of the foods that we see, a lot of the non-calorie sodas and drinks. And people do report that they have some sort of discomfort when they're eating these foods. So one of the things that they can do is they can try some other different foods that do not have these sugar alcohols or sugar substitutes. And I guess we can talk a little bit more about suggestions as well. One of my favorites is doing like seltzer, and then maybe just putting in some flavoring in there, whether it's from like a few ounces of juice, a splash of juice, or some fruit, which is, again, going back to natural sugars, right? Like flavoring my water with some watermelon in there or strawberries. It's just so many options of ways to add natural sugar to my drink.
Mm-hmm. Now, you just said a word that we have to mention when we talk about sugar, juice. So, right, you're all acknowledging that. So, what about juice? It's all juice bad for you? Are there some that are better for you than others? And what about for children? Jessica, you have kids. What do you do about juice?
Yes, yes, juice. So, I mean, I really encourage the youngest kids to not have any juice, at least when they're really, really young, like under 1, of course. And if I actually like some of the newer products out there, such as Honest, is it Honest and
Honest kid.
like Hint, where it's actually mostly water and just a hint of juice. But in my house, we will do 100% juice, so an orange juice, or right now apple cider even, and mix it with water. So you're getting the flavor, but you're not getting the punch of sugar and the hyperglycemic response that you might get from drinking a lot of sugar, and then don't forget the candy, because we're still with candy. So we're drinking juice and having candy, forget it, it's a nightmare.
Right. So, Melissa, like, what's the difference between drinking the juice and eating the fruit? And for example, you know, even though it says 100% apple juice, is that really the equivalent to apples?
Well, the first thing I think of is when you're eating the fruit, you're sending that message to your brain that you're eating something. I think when you have apple juice, like the serving size of juice is so small and it's so easy to overdo it and have so much extra sugar. Not many people just have the portion size of juice. So eating fruit is just, I think, so much more enjoyable than the juice.
Mm-hmm.
And then, you know, the fruit will also have the fiber that we keep talking about, right? So you're having the fiber, which helps you keep full, helps you have a healthy digestive system, helps everything move in there regularly, right? We always want that as well, especially for kids. So just getting that, you're getting the vitamins and the minerals. So you're getting so much more from having the fruit itself than just having the juice.
And I like to give a visual for my patients. Think about how many oranges or apples you have to eat to have the equivalent of the amount of juice that you can drink in just a small amount. So you're not going to eat like 6 apples or 6 oranges, and because you just can't, there's so much fiber in it, it'll make you way too full. But you can drink 6 apples or 6 oranges in just a small amount.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, as a matter of fact, thank you for bringing that up. I did that the other day at home, and it took me like truly a dozen of oranges, and all I got was like 18 ounces of juice.
Oh, wow.
I was like, oh my God, you know, and I felt that, you know, like the good part of the fruit, which is like the roughage and all of that, was still there. You know, I was gonna throw it in the garbage. So it's kind of sad that you're doing that. But what about other drinks? That's juice. Are there any other calories? And Merced just mentioned some, like seltzer, and you put like a hint of flavor in it. Any other drinks? Because, you know, not everybody likes drinking water. We know it's the gold standard. Yes, thank you. Not a fan. You know, like a lot of people go like, no, not a fan of water. So what can we recommend to drink instead of water?
Yeah, Merced, I really like the idea you said with flavoring the water. I really like the Spindrift products. They have
I love it.
Yeah, of different fruits. They have a pineapple one, they have grapefruit, they have a blueberry. So just get a little hint of fruit, and it's still sweet.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like I said before, one of my favorites is definitely the fruit infusion, which is something that, again, kids can help out. You can do it for yourself. They can make it for you too. Having them for you, depending on how old they are, with supervision, they can cut up some watermelons, strawberries, berries, even cucumbers, limes, lemons, mint, whatever you like, just throwing them in a water bottle. I have one right here. It doesn't have fruit yet, but it will later. You know, just throwing it in there, letting it sit in the fridge for a few hours, and when you take it out, it's gonna have the essence of the fruit, and it'll be a little sweet too, depending on the fruit that you have. And then you can also try this with not only with water by itself, but you can also do it with a seltzer, which doesn't have any calories.
And I like to be realistic too. I mean, look, I don't always want that. I will drink soda sometimes. I will drink regular juice sometimes, and that's okay. I do encourage people to cut back on the portion sizes. So if someone is used to drinking an entire can of soda, then can they drink half of it? So I won't drink a large amount, but I also won't eat an entire bowl of candy while drinking it at the same time. So we need to be realistic too and let people know that it's still okay if you want to have your favorite soda, just cut back how much.
Absolutely. I agree with you.
Yeah, so it's more on cutting back than completely, totally avoiding the food. And avoidance might be a lot harder for a lot of people, but I know that a lot of people say, you know, if I take a sip, I take the whole 2 liters. So I guess that it also depends on your willpower somehow, like how you know yourself better than anybody, and you will know how to control that. So going back into the Halloween business, it's COVID time. Like, do you have any tips on how to avoid COVID? You know, like, is it still appropriate, you think, to go from home to home asking for candy? Or, you know, I just think everybody putting their hands in a bag of candy, you know, at this time, I don't know. I see your faces. I feel you're with me. So what do we do? Because Halloween is one of my favorite holidays, but still want to be able to celebrate. So what have you thought about?
Absolutely. I feel that if you do choose to go out, right, that it's still very important to take all the precautions that have been recommended so far. So making sure that you're wearing your mask, social distancing, washing your hands or bringing a hand sanitizer with you, and then staying, social distancing from people who do not live with you as well. Avoiding crowded spaces. So following the same things that we've been talking about for these past few months. I am curious about how you feel, Jessica, with your kids.
Yeah, it's a tough one. We actually, our superintendent did send out some guidance on a safe Halloween, because trick-or-treating traditionally it is a high-risk activity, unfortunately. And this is definitely a thought I have going through my mind, and talking to neighbors and friends and family. And there's a few things that I've thought about. And in our neighborhood, at our school, they're going to be doing some other types of activities, some virtual activities. People can be doing more virtual, like Halloween contests. But really, I think personally that if, like, my kids are just stay in our neighborhood with the kids that they go to school with, and they only go to the houses that they know, I think it's okay. But not everybody, people do go to different neighborhoods, and I just feel like try to stay within your neighborhood is a good idea. But also there's more things that are exciting that we can do about Halloween. Candy scavenger hunts. Saw that. I'm like, that is genius. Just hide a bunch of candy, get them running around, and you don't have to go very far, and they still get their candy, but just not going to the houses. Halloween outdoor movie nights. I've been seeing that a lot. Virtual Halloween contests and parties. And really just getting dressed up is the fun in it, and just walking around. And as long as they stay away from each other, just as Merced had mentioned, that 6 feet distance, and knowing that masks are still important, and the Halloween masks are not sufficient enough. So that was a big thing they were mentioning. I think that is okay. And, if you see somebody, people's hands going in those bowls and giving out candy, or lots of kids' hands going in, I would probably stay away from that.
I love your ideas. I saw Nyack Chamber of Commerce is doing a Halloween event, an online virtual Halloween event. And we still have pumpkin picking and apple picking, other kind of Halloween events that we can do.
Yes.
Yeah, I love the idea of a costume contest. And then there's just so many different activities you can do at home as well. You can, play with the kids, have dress up inside, do movie nights inside, with the people who live in the household already, cooking some of these recipes, making some of these treats that we were talking about before. Decorating is also such a great idea, and it's so fun to do. There's so many games we can do inside as well.
Spooky games. Movement-based activities such as monster tag. I know tag is a really big thing right now, like shadow tag in the COVID safe games. So, there are definitely dance parties, as long as they're not close. So hard. It really is. But you got to make the best you can and just emphasize how much fun you can have in any environment.
Yes. So like I love the dancing part because I like to dance, but it will be hard to dance salsa with that, you know. So I don't know if that's a good idea. I don't know if that's a good one for Latinos, but you know, like 6 feet apart dance salsa, I don't think that's gonna work. But you know, definitely
The monster mash.
Yeah, maybe some rocking there or something might work. Okay, Nereida Franco is giving us some ideas. She's one of our attendees. She's saying that she's gonna put individual bags of candy and she's gonna be with gloves handing them to the kids that show up at her door. And you know what, thank you, Nereida. And at this point, please, to all of our attendees, if there are any questions, start putting them in either the chat box or the Q&A boxes. We would love to have some questions from you. Now, what's the recommended amount of candy or sugar that either adults and kids can eat? Like, how much will be safe? That's a tough one.
One day doesn't matter as much, but I want to emphasize that over and over again because one day should not make a difference in the scheme of things. It's only if we continue to do that. The average person in the United States consumes around 17 teaspoons or like 71 grams of added sugar in a day. Which is a lot because the recommendation is about, I wrote the exact one down. Women should use no more than 100 calories per day on added sugar, which is around 25 grams or 6 teaspoons of sugar. But children between the ages of 2 to 18 should consume no more than 25 grams, or that's, wow, did I write that wrong? Because why would it be the same? Oh, sorry, children is 25. You guys can tell me if I'm totally wrong because I might have wrote this wrong, but I have for men 38 grams or 9 teaspoons of sugar. Oh, then I might have messed up the children one. I'm sorry. But anyways, the point is that, you know, you're not going to be calculating how much sugar you're going to be taking in, the amount of candy that you're having on Halloween. You're really not, but you can do things to make sure that you're not going overboard and you can prepare yourself for that. So I know that's a question later on, so I won't get into that.
Well, now let's get into that right now because I need limits, especially when it comes to chocolate. I'll show you.
Oh, I like one, thank you.
I need limits. So how can we really limit ourselves? Like,
so I like the idea of just having one sweet treat a day and then really enjoying it. I mean, we should be enjoying our candy and our chocolate. So going back to the sugar alcohols and the artificial sweeteners, that's why I'm not a big fan of those, because I think we should really be enjoying our candy. I don't know about how you guys feel, but I don't really enjoy those as much as I would enjoy a real piece of chocolate. So just sitting down and really enjoying that piece of candy or piece of chocolate, whatever you really like.
Yeah, I agree with you, Melissa. And you know, it's tough. Like we definitely have the numbers. Like it's been recommended for us to limit the sugar intake to about 10% of our calories. But how do I know what that number is for myself, right? And for my kids and for every member of my family? And I don't walk around measuring with like teaspoons and grams. So it can be tough. So I agree with Melissa's way, just, you know, being able to enjoy my sweet treat in a day. Another recommendation I have is if I have chocolate and I really want chocolate, to limit how many chocolates I'm going to eat from my little box. Maybe it comes with like mixing it into something else that, you know, it's going to fill me up, like doing yogurt and throwing some chocolate chips in there. Maybe like chocolate chips and fruit, or making like a healthy smoothie and then throwing in a little bit of chocolate in there. So having all these other foods to add to it so that we can still enjoy what we like, but then also having your sweet treat in a day, just like Melissa mentioned.
And not going into Halloween, into the trick-or-treating, or however you're celebrating, super hungry, right? So if you're really hungry, you're gonna eat your entire bowl of candy. So I make sure that my kids have a good dinner before we go trick-or-treating or whatever, or however we're gonna be celebrating. But just like Melissa mentioned, really enjoying the candy. I've actually taught my older child how to enjoy the candy and actually taste it. And I've noticed that that's how he eats his chocolate now, is that it's very slow and he just really, really enjoys it. So it's really actually nice to see that it's resonated with him. But I saw a question come in about caramel apples, and I want to answer that, candy apples, because something we didn't talk about earlier, one of the unfortunate consequences of too much candy are cavities. And the problem with candy that is sticky or sits in the mouth for a long time, like from lollipops or gummies, is that it sits inside your teeth. And that's how cavities are formed. So I would not recommend, unfortunately, a candy apple or caramel apple because it's so sticky, especially any kind of caramel. I mean, that stuff does not get out of your teeth. You even brush it hard, you've still got something in there. So that's going to grow into some unfortunate cavities later on. And so that's only part of the reason why I wouldn't recommend that, but that's something I wanted to bring back up again.
Mm-hmm. Now, at this point, now that you're talking about like the different kind of candy, is there a candy that is better than other? Is hard candy better than chocolate? Like, I don't know. Do you have any preference?
We fell silent.
I mean, I think that, it's sort of looking at it that way, like candy that stays sticky or is just sugar. I tend to kind of sway away from. Unfortunately, my younger child is obsessed with gummies. And so that's like that's one of the worst ones. He'd rather gummies than chocolate, but I prefer chocolate and also candies that have other types of food in it. Like it kind of goes down with what Merced said, like if there's nuts in it or some of that other like protein, even candy that has that's even just regular milk chocolate has a little bit of other protein in it, and which is a little bit better than like a lollipop that you're going to be sucking on and just basically injecting yourself with sugar and affecting your teeth. But it's also, again, portion size. So like the mini ones are small candies are going to be much better, but still like caramels, those are really going to stick in your teeth and break your teeth. And some of those like hard candies can break your teeth, like the jawbreakers. Those I don't recommend.
Yeah,
now,
so
Melissa, the nutrition fact labels, they can really be a guidance for us, right? So why don't you talk to us a little bit about the facts labels and how we can use them to understand a little bit better the nutritional content of different candy?
Yeah, sure. So the good thing about the labels now is they have a line that has what the added sugar of that particular food is. So you can look at that line where it says added sugar and see how much sugar is added to the product. In terms of candy, I think probably there's going to be a lot of added sugar, and that's kind of why we're eating it, right? So I'm also looking at the portion size, and you mentioned the smaller, Jessica, you mentioned the smaller mini chocolates, so maybe sticking with a smaller portion size as opposed to opening up a big bar of chocolate and then you have to eat that whole bar. So that would be the benefit, is looking at the label.
Yeah, and then not only, yeah, absolutely. So not only for candy, but for other food products, other snacks that we might be eating, the food label can provide so much guidance in knowing what's in the food. So like we've been talking a lot about making sure, wanting to see if our food has other things that are going to be good for us, like the fiber, vitamins, minerals again. And then also seeing how much sugar and what types of sugars there are in there. And then Jessica, you touched on this a little bit before on how sugar has so many disguises, like sugar, but do you know that there's like the dextrose and the sucrose and there's all the OSD that you mentioned before, and the high fructose corn syrup, and the honey, and the syrup. So all of those are sugars as well, and the nutrition fact label can really help you with identifying how many different types of sugars there are and how much, like in terms of added sugars as well.
Mhm.
And looking at the ingredients list, the item that's listed first is the most common and the most has the highest percentage in that particular food. So if there's sugar things in the beginning of the label, that product is probably higher in those sugars.
The way that I find the nutrition label very helpful is there are a lot of products out there now in the market that they say they're whole, they're healthy. For example, there are these veggie chips. And one day I was comparing the veggie chips with potato chips that I usually eat. And I was like, I'll stick to my potato chips. So I think that it's good to look at the labels for like calorie content, comparing same serving sizes, because for some of these healthier products, the serving sizes are also a lot smaller. So apparently they will give you less calories when in reality you're going to end up eating the same amount of the other product and end up eating more calories. Look at the fat content, if there is any protein in it. Something that I love about the new nutrition facts label is the fact that it gives you added sugars and total sugars. Because we were talking about milk, for example, it naturally has sugar in it. And that's the good sugar. Fruits have sugar in it. It's the good sugar. It's the added sugar that we need to stay away from. And, it will let you know, the label will let you know how many sugars have been added in the food. And I think that's terrific information. And comparing all these different labels will really tell you which brands are better. I never trust what says on the face of the product. I like to call it the face. I like to look at the back of the product because, you always find things in the back that you don't see on the front. And especially now I see that for marketing for children, they're trying to put things out there like, oh, it's super good, and it's really the worst thing ever, but so it's very important to look at the labels, looking at all this information. So you're nodding.
I love, what else I love about the new nutrition label is that they not only show you, they've made the portion sizes a little bit more realistic. So, which, the best example I have is like a pint of ice cream. Previously, it was 4 servings. So how many people sit there and take 4 times to eat the entire pint of ice cream? So they made it to 3 servings. But then they also put next to it, oh, you know what? If you by accident ate the entire thing, how much nutrition you're taking at that time, including all that extra sugar. So sometimes there's something about seeing it on a label rather than doing it up in your head, calculating it up in your head, and it becomes more real. So I love that also, that other aspect about the new label.
If we could touch a little bit on, now that we're talking about labels and food products and stuff, breakfast cereals. Because breakfast cereal is also like a nice snack. It's breakfast time. It's a meal, like a quick lunch or even dinner, and we go to a supermarket and there are like 50 brands of breakfast cereals. Little overwhelming. And they all claim to be healthy.
Yeah.
So which ones are really the healthy ones? Because I think that will be a good snack for Halloween, really. And as Nereida was saying, if you pack them in like little bags and you do like a trail mix and stuff, but which ones are really healthy? Merced.
This is another time when it's really great to look at the nutrition facts label, right? So we can look at the ingredients, see that, if we want to see if the cereal that I have here is in fact healthy, like it tells me in the front. So is it a whole grain product? Is sugar listed as one of the top 3 ingredients? If sugar is listed as one of the top 3 ingredients, it might be a cereal that in fact has a lot of sugar. So looking for the whole grain cereals, the ones that are low in sugar, and just not have so many ingredients. So that's another tip that I like to use. When you look at the ingredient list, it's always nice to be able to know what everything on the ingredient list is, not names that are too long that I don't know what they are. So those are my tips for finding some good cereal. And usually like the unsweetened ones, right? So like Cheerios, like the unsweetened Cheerios, those are great. Also, what other ones? What other ones do you guys have at home?
Honestly, we always have good old-fashioned yellow box Cheerios in our house. There's no added sugar to it. It's whole grains, whole oats. My kids like it. Sometimes they want another cereal, but then they will mix it. So
Mm-hmm.
add a little bit of extra sweetener, or adding, like, slicing up fruit or berries, or even putting some raisins if I don't have any, which is still all natural sugar. But most of the cereal out there, most of it, unfortunately, is not the best. But you could incorporate it into like a trail mix or something to add a little sweet. So there definitely, you could find a purpose for it, but you're not, I'm going to promise you that most that you see on the shelf, I wouldn't recommend.
I like the idea of mixing them because I actually didn't know that I was doing this when I was younger, but I would do this. I would mix like my Cheerios with my chocolate Rice Krispies.
There you go.
And I was doing that when I was 10 years old.
You're making healthy choices then.
Or put it with some yogurt, put it on Greek yogurt, or I like the idea of the berries, or doing some nuts with it.
And I think that you're touching on a good point now, like something so healthy as oatmeal, because it's like one of the to-go foods. You know, now you find like so many flavored oatmeals, and when you look at the sugar content, it's like very high. Well, you can just get the all plain, old-fashioned oats and add your own banana, apple, cinnamon, and make it healthier. It takes a little bit more work, but I think that's the way to go sometimes. When we make our own, it's definitely a lot healthier than products already made for us, because, you know, they have to put a lot of additives, sugar, salt, even, you know, to preserve the food. And that per se takes away from the good nutritional value of the food. Okay, so any other questions from our attendees? We'll be ready and willing to take, so please bombard us with questions. Otherwise, you know, what will be like your final giveaways for our attendees today on how to celebrate Halloween in a healthy way?
Have a
Jessica,
lot of fun.
Okay, go ahead, Merced.
I said, have a lot of fun, dress up, enjoy some candy, and have a good breakfast that day. Have a good breakfast and lunch, depending on when you're starting to celebrate.
Yeah. Don't go hungry. Don't eat a ton of candy instead of a meal. And then at the end, if you do have a lot of candy, pick out your favorites, put them in the freezer, throw away or give away the rest. Don't let it sit in your house. I think that's a big one for leftovers. Get rid of the leftovers, but enjoy what you choose. Enjoy it. It's okay. You're allowed.
Yeah, I agree. Really, just enjoy whatever you're having. Just enjoy it.
Mm-hmm.
And wear your mask.
Yeah.
Wear your mask.
Wear your mask, yes.
We're getting a question from one of our attendees, Enea Suarez. He's asking, and then what do you do with all the excess candy that you get?
Mm-hmm.
Throw it away. Throw it away. I mean, I know there's different organizations that you can donate to, but why do I want to give somebody extra sugar? This is my personal opinion. I know that
Unless you hate your neighbor.
Yeah, just honestly, either some of it you can put in the freezer and save it for like another time, and if it's out of sight, it's not really on the mind as much. But honestly, especially the candies that I just wouldn't care for, throw it away.
Mm-hmm.
Not be a popular.
Something that I remember that I used to do as a child was I used to split up my candy. I always had like, these are my best candies that I definitely want to keep and eat and savor, and these are the ones that I don't really care about. I think that's a good way to also have your kids, you know, separate, like, okay, these are the things that I eventually want to eat and I really like them, and I don't really like these so much, so I don't need them. These are the ones we can get rid of. And that's another great suggestion. Once you've identified that pile of the things that you enjoy, you can save them, enjoy them over time. Like we were mentioning before, having a treat a day, it's okay.
Mhm. Now, there is something, this is just an idea of something that I did one year with candy. I mean, since Halloween is so close to Christmas, what I did, you know how you do like the Christmas decorations for the trees with popcorn?
Mm.
I did the same thing with all hard candy, and I put it around my Christmas tree.
Colorful.
And
That's a good idea.
it was kind of cute. Everybody was like, "Oh, that's nice," you know.
Mm.
Because I had so much candy left over, so it was a way of using it.
Yeah, especially
Okay.
since the packagings are so nice during the holidays. Just use them as little ornaments everywhere.
Mhm. Exactly. That's a good idea too. Now, here is another thing. At some point, Jessica, you were talking about how to eat candy, how to make it last in your mouth. Like, I think you're referring to mindfulness, like
Mm.
mindful eating. So can you give us some tips on how to do that? Because I'm definitely willing to try that.
Yes, I love doing mindful eating. My favorite activity to do with in a workshop is the mindful eating exercise, eating a raisin, or I have people use chocolate. And it's using all of your senses really, and staying within the now, staying within in the moment where you're actually eating and embody that moment. So you're paying attention, you're smelling it, you're taking it, using all your senses. You smelling it, you're looking at it, and you're actually tasting it and letting it melt in your mouth. I'm using chocolate as an example because that's always what comes to my mind. And when I think of enjoyable candy and being mindful about it, and if it has a deeper flavor, like a dark chocolate, you're going to have, you're going to be, and you're going to enjoy it more because the flavor is going to be so much more potent. And small bites, definitely small bites, and taking your time and not just throwing it back. Like, don't just sit with like M&Ms and throw them back and just chew them and forget that you even did it, because it's not really chocolate. It's not real chocolate anyway. But yes, really focusing on what you're doing and eating, and taking and using all your senses.
Mhm.
Yeah, I've used the mindful eating with chocolate as well in some of my classes, and I love doing it. It's really fun. But I think we can also apply it to more of an everyday scenario. And when you're eating dessert or really anything, limiting the distraction. So turning off the TV, even, I mean, I tend to look at my phone when I'm eating or read a book, and just sitting down and enjoying the food.
Mhm. You know, there was one commercial, and probably most of you are going to remember this commercial from, it was some time ago, but you heard, because, you know, all the time we say, use your five senses. Okay, we can look at food, we definitely can taste the food, not all the time we're going to put our hands in the food, but how are you going to listen to food, you know?
I knew it talks to you. Eat me.
Eat me, right? Yeah, you don't hear that, although some food sounds like it. But you know, I always think when I think about listening to food, I always think about this commercial where you heard the and then the and the ice, and you're like, I wanna drink that right now because of the sound. And I think that it's true. It's not only happens in that commercial, like it starts from the wrapper. Like when you're unwrapping your candy, you know, you hear that crispy paper. And or when you're eating chips, I hear the crunchiness, you know. So definitely you can hear, smell, look, um, taste, obviously, you know, feel food. And I think that, you know, you start eating from the time you unwrap your candy. And that's something that not only candy, but anything else, that it's part of that process of eating that a lot of people neglect to recognize. Like, how many people know that, you know, that process really starts there, because that's when you start salivating, preparing yourself. Like, I'm saying that I'm salivating.
Oh yeah.
The wrappers, right? But anyway, it's a long process. We think eating is kind of like, you know, the gluten, it is not. It really starts from the time we see food, unwrap it, listen to it, you know, like a sizzling meat, for example, you know, it starts right there. So it's important to pay attention to all these signals and realize, you know, I started eating back then, not now, you know, when I feel stuffed. So
and that would also be like listening to your body, and or you can also look in a perspective to not listen to outside environment. So I think there's a lot of ways to look at that, the hearing part of the mindful eating.
Absolutely. So with this, we're going to wrap up. Thank you so much. I think that we end up in a positive note, using mindfulness, listen to your body's cues to the food when it talks to you.
You're gonna hear me talking for a long time now when you look at your food.
Right, and tips on what to do with extra candy, how to look at labels for the best kind of candy, also for cereals and juices and drinks, ideas on how to prepare some snacks that are healthier for Halloween and how to celebrate a healthy Halloween. I also wanna invite you, obviously you, my panelists, but also all the attendees. We're gonna have we have a packed agenda of things that we have planned, different sessions. So I'm gonna again share my screen here really quickly. Where is it? Not my email. You don't want to look at that, or Google. I have so many things opening here. It's unbelievable. Let me see here. I want to show you the agenda of upcoming events. So we have palliative care. Next week, we already had a very successful session about palliative care and why it's so important to have palliative care when you have chronic disease. Then October 29, this is a new one. We're gonna be meeting Rosa, the robot. It's a new robot that came to Montefiore Nyack, and it's a surgeon. So that's gonna be very interesting. November in general, we have Diabetes Month. So we're gonna be talking about the holiday blues and COVID and how it affects patients with diabetes and some other chronic diseases. On the 18th, we're gonna have a diabetes specialist, an endocrinologist, and certified diabetes educator who will be answering all of your questions about diabetes, all of them. So bring all of your questions. I'm not gonna have any questions by myself. It's all gonna be from the public. And on December 3rd, we're gonna be talking about cancer and the importance of finding support for cancer patients and their families. So you're all invited. I'm gonna be sending flyers as well. And you know, please help us grow this program, because how this is going, how we're gonna make it successful. So share this information with all your peers, colleagues, friends, everyone you know, join us. And with this, I just want to say thank you very much to Jessica and Melissa and Merced. I know you have a busy day and you're going to keep running after this, but it's such a pleasure to have you here with me for a little bit. You feel really close, even though we're far in the world. And thank you for everything that you do. And to all of our participants today, happy Halloween. Bye-bye.
Yeah.
Thank you.